Today on CityCast DC, I am here with CityCast audio producer Julia Caron and contributor Dan Reed, and we are talking air quality, metro aesthetics, and because it is July and it is hot, we are talking ice cream. Today is Friday, July 7th. I'm Michael Schaefer, and here's what DC is talking about. So, Julia, we had another couple days of Canadian smoke in our city. Canadian smoke seems sort of like a euphemism for something like bad. I don't know
yes,
what.
Yes, it does. Or like a band name, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But in fact, there was like actual smoke, and it was actually from Canada. As folks know, the air quality codes got bad again. Summer camps were canceled. Things stank, literally. It was way more smoky than anything we could do with fireworks a few days later on the 4th of July. Julia has been looking around at ways of improving your own personal air quality. What'd you learn?
Yeah, okay. So if you want clean air and you don't want to get like sick in the winter or have your allergies affect you in the spring, you should have a high quality air filter in your home, in your apartment, in your condo, wherever you're living. You should have something of that nature. Basically, because some houses obviously come with more advanced AC systems, you could get a brand new HEPA filter, HEPA. That runs around $600. And Dan just looked like he, collapsed when he heard that price tag. But yeah, basically, those are really expensive. And if your unit doesn't have that kind of air quality filter system, you could MacGyver it. That is a possibility. Basically, you're going to get a square fan. You're going to buy a HEPA filter, which is like the one that's a similar size to the actual square fan, and then put the filter on the fan, like attach it via duct tape, just straight up as tight as you can. All of this is from our newsletter writer, Kayla. She is the real mad genius among us. She's the actual MacGyver. You should subscribe to her by texting DC to 66866 if you want to MacGyver your own air filter. So that's the first one. The second one is from Washington Post reporter Lena Sun. She made what's called a Corsi Rosenthal box. Apparently, Corsi and Rosenthal were the guys who invented this during the summer of the pandemic. It uses 4 of the HEPA filters, like 4 of them in like a cube. And you attach a 20-inch fan on top with cardboard, you use your scissors, you duct tape it together. All of the filters have to have this MERV 13 rating, which basically refers to the filter's ability to trap particles in size. It looks like an air filtration cube. It looks like something like the Borg would have in Star Trek. It's wild. But basically, what happens is when the fan is turned on, the air gets pulled through all the sides of the box. So it sucks in all the air. And then the filters trap all the contaminated particles. And then there's clean air that just flows into the middle of the box and is pushed back out into your house. Basically, it just needs to be plugged into a normal electrical outlet. And basically, not only can the boxes reduce the spread of pathogens like coronavirus, they also reduce other particles such as those generated by wildfires as well as dust and pollens. So guys, are you going to make one of these Corsi Rosenthal boxes for your houses?
I wasn't before, but the way you've described it seems way less intimidating. I know how to make a box.
We know shapes. We know geometry. Mike, how are you feeling about this?
In our air conditioning system, we have to put in a new filter every couple months. This is not like a HEPA filter. This is like you buy a box of 8 of them on Amazon for $20 or something kind of filter. I was maybe naive in thinking this is cool, I'm good. But apparently in Julia/MacGyver world, it requires more heroic measures. But here's a real question. Is there any sense of whether we are in for another set of smoke days?
So all of the reports that I've seen have this continuing until October. We're going to continue to get more code oranges, maybe some code reds. I don't know that code purple and the, worst of the worst is going to be out there. But the short answer is we're kind of in this for the long haul. And also as climate change increases, takes a larger toll on the environment, more of this is going to become more common. There's going to be more wildfires and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. My view is get yourself one of these Corsi Rosenthal boxes, make it yourself, and I guess save yourself from not only the Canadian wildfires of today, but also the future flu season and allergy seasons of the next year.
All right, so friend of CityCast, Jordan Pascal at DCist had a piece up this week about the preponderance of metro trains that are wrapped. And by wrapped, I mean when the sort of usual look of the train car is replaced with a giant, like train car sized advertisement or statement, celebrating something that it's usually a bright color, a real break in the visual topography of Metro. This is something that Metro historically, they didn't like stuff like this. And people who design new transit systems are kind of obsessed with branding and consistency of looks, which helps people find their way and so on. But this is apparently a thing under the new leader of WMATA, Randy Clark. And the idea is that these wraps, there's two things. One, they are occasionally profitable, which is a nice thing given that they are in some financial trouble. So you can make it an actual advertisement, like for the Wizards jerseys. Or they can celebrate something like Pride Month or what have you. And in his theory, it makes it more festive, and sort of anything that helps make the Metro seem festiver is better. I don't know. What do you all think?
I think this is pretty cool. Part of our local culture over the past decade and a half has been like ragging on Metro. And this is an opportunity to not just celebrate it, like, hey, look at this cool train that I happened to see today, brighten my day, but also to sort of rebuild like the local perception and culture around the system and get people excited about it again and give people a reason to ride, right? Because like they might catch the train with the Nats stuff on it, or the Cherry Blossom train, or the Pride train.
I think that this is all well and good and a good faith effort. I will say it does have to be coupled with like actually getting trains on time to people, right?
Very much so.
Like it can't just be like, here's a Christmas present, but you unwrap it and it's coal, right? It has to also, I'm serious. It has to also be like, here's this beautiful, magnificent train. All of my friends were obsessed with the Pride train. I think this is a really cool concept, but I think it's also got to be coupled with service improvements too. You can't just wrap up a shiny thing and be like, hey, Metro's great. You got to couple it with the service that people actually want, And
that's what's cool about this, is because those two goals are often in tension, right? Like making it cool and making it functional. This is affordable enough. It's only, I think, $5,000 per car to wrap it in decorations. So it's a way to get people excited about Metro without necessarily sucking away resources from making it like, come when you want it to.
Exactly.
Yeah, that in like the history of Metro, right? That when they built this thing and they were obsessed with like not having it be like the New York subway, which in the 60s and 70s was considered so dangerous, and they wanted Metro not to be that way, and they made the stations dark, and the idea was it was going to like calm people down, and like there wasn't going to be a lot of like, there was a little bit of advertising, but not much. And the flip side of that is it's not that much fun, and particularly at a time when they are strapped, it is leaving money on the table. So I don't know. I think it's kind of fun and the idea is that sort of it builds a culture, which is, I think, the point. It builds a culture for the city. Like, hey, we are all excited about the cherry blossoms, which I'm rarely excited about the cherry blossoms, but then then I feel like more like an outlier. Or it gives them a chance to like make some money. And I'm just going out on a limb here, but I don't think there's anybody who's like going to be sitting there wondering whether or not to jump someone in the Metro who is going to be pushed one way or the other by the presence of a wrapped train. And I think it's cool. It makes it adds to the amount of visual variety, and that's fun. I think we should get the CityCast marketing people to wrap a train for us.
I want a CityCast train.
If Dan is going to be taking a train these days, it being summer, he is likely taking it to a place where he can buy ice cream, because the little known secret here at CityCast, Dan Reed is an ice cream admirer of Biden-esque extremes. What do you think's the best? Where should we go?
Sure. So, as Mike noted, I'm really into ice cream. I worked at the locally beloved Giffords Ice Cream and Candy Company in college back when it was still around.
Rest
And
in peace, Giffords.
rip, learned the ins and outs of making ice cream and also all of the summer shenanigans that comes with working with a bunch of teenagers in an ice cream shop. And I get to relive that nostalgia every summer by going to try as much ice cream as I can. And thankfully, Eater has a list of the best ice cream places in the area. There are a bunch of national chains that have come to the area recently, like Jenny's and Van Leeuwen. Is that how it's pronounced?
Yep,
I don't know.
Van Leeuwen.
But what really excites me are some of the local spots included in the list, such as Marenko's here in Silver Spring. It's the best ice cream I could walk to from my house, which, to be fair, is a low bar. But there's also Hovermail's Tastes Best in Fort Washington, old school, like 1950s style stand that you walk up to, and Toby's in Arlington, which is like an old school like ice cream parlor that like you walk into and stuff in an old shopping center.
So I've always thought of ice cream as something you do not like travel for. You get it where you are. If you're at home, you will maybe walk to a place near home. If you're, out, you see a place. But the idea of like traveling to a different neighborhood or a different city for ice cream, the way you might for like a really fancy meal, seems like something I'd never thought to do. Do you do that? Do you like wake up in the morning and say, I'm gonna drive to Fort Washington to try this ice cream?
I do. In fact, in grad school, I like mapped out how many people in Montgomery County could walk to an ice cream shop for this exact problem, because not everybody can.
You were very concerned about ice cream deserts.
I was, and I still am.
As we all should be. As we all should be.
And that extends to ice cream trucks, right? Like
Wait, did you actually get one for your birthday party?
I did. I used to live in Philly, and they have the Mr. Softy truck there, and I loved it. And I would, every time I heard it, I would like run out of my house and go flag it down. They have a franchise in Montgomery County now. And since the ice cream truck does not come by my house every day in the summer like it may have in the past, you can book the Mr. Softy truck for events. So I booked one for my birthday this year.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Where was my invite, Dan?
Next year.
Wait, how much does that cost?
A couple $100, but it's like if you do a happy hour at a bar, right? Like there's like a food and beverage minimum.
So you pay him like some flat fee, and then on top of that, you pay for everything that your guests consumed.
Yeah, something like that. Like my 5-year-old neighbor got 3 milkshakes in an hour. Like I'm happy to have made his day / life.
Oh my God.
So I have kids who are, particularly my younger kid, like there's a fairly elaborate ice cream place in my neighborhood. And we walked up there, and she saw what I'd paid for an ice cream cone for her, which I thought was very generous. And she said to me, Dad, at my age, we really care about quantity more than quality. I think she would have been just as happy if we'd gone to the Safeway and I'd gotten like a gallon of something that she could have eaten all day. But, that's the mouths of babes and all that.
Kids don't have a lot of patience either. Like there is no joy in driving an hour for ice cream when you are a child with no concept of time.
No.
All right. So what is your summer ice cream list this year?
So every summer I make a pilgrimage to Jimmy Cone in Damascus, which is a stand that has been around for over 60 years. It is cheap. It's like soft serve, right? So like maybe if you're looking for quantity, it is there, and quality. I'm looking forward to trying some of the new places that have opened recently, including Everyday Sunday on Kennedy Street in DC. And just last night, for research, of course, I visited the Charmery, which is a Baltimore-based chain that just opened a new location in Chevy Chase, and is also going to be opening at the Parks at Walter Reed soon, and it was fine.
I have there's a place on Connecticut Avenue near my house, near Connecticut, Nebraska, Honeybee Goods, which is brand new and good. I'm partial to that because I want there to be walkable ice cream for as much of my life as possible.
Yeah.
It's the best ice cream you can walk to from your house.
Exactly.
It is.
So the best ice cream that I can walk to from my house is the Target that is 2 seconds away, and I just go down the stairs and grab it. If I'm out with friends, though, I feel like I have 2 brackets of ice cream. There's like gelato ice cream, and then there's ice cream.
Very much different.
Right. I'm a woman of science. I need the categorization. And so if it's ice cream, I think Ice Cream Jubilee is like not so secretly the best one in the city. The woman who runs it is a Seven Sisters alum, go Wellesley. Also, they have a flair called Marion Berry. As it turns out, Marion berries are real berries.
It's true.
Who possibly could have known? So like that's +1 for the DC reference, right? Like you gotta hand it to them. If I'm in the mood for gelato, dolcezza is, I think, one of my more favorite ones every year. My college has an alum thing called Mountain Day where you're supposed to blow off work and get ice cream. I do not actually blow off work. I just go get the ice cream after. And we used to have it at Batango, and the space was too small, but the dolcezza in City Center is large enough to hold 50 Mount Holyoke alums who all want ice cream and who all just want to hang out and really just want to blow off work. So it's fabulous.
Possible hot take. I think dolcezza is better than Batango.
Yes, that's true.
Maybe not so hot take.
Not a hot take.
Cold
Fact.
take.
Fact. Come at me.
All right. So we have a tip of the week every week. And this week, conveniently, it's about ice cream. And it's from Julia. What do you got?
So, because I don't live super close to any of the ice cream shops that you all frequent, I'm not in walking distance of any of them really, you can buy a lot of the local purveyors of ice cream, Jenny's, which is a national chain, obviously, but also Ice Cream Jubilee, Dolcezza, Van Leeuwen. You can find them in your grocery stores. So I would check out your grocery store. Like if you live near a street, that's the local grocery store that's in front of my apartment. Check them out, see if they have your local favorite, and then stock up. And every day can be an ice cream day in the comfort of your own home.
Dan Reed, Julia, Karen, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Mike.
And that is all for today here on CityCast DC. Our lead producer is Priyanka Tilve. Our producer is Julia Karen. Our newsletter writer is Kayla Cote-Stemmerman. Our production assistant is Susanna Brown. Our hosts are Bridget Todd and me, Michael Schaefer from Politico. Music is by Alex Roldan. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Bye. I want Dan Reed's face on that train.
God, no.
You could retire. This is, as a greater Washington contributor, having your face on a metro train, I think would be it's not going to get better in your career.